Introspect, take a sec, watch it step, where you step, when you step, falling free through the sky, feel the breeze, feel the eye, all your fears, let them die, energy never lies, introspect, take a second, let your world unfold.
I hear that. I hear them gunshots, and I keep waiting for a G unit drop.
But you live.
Right.
You live to fight another day.
Welcome. It is episode 31 in totality. Welcome to the Let Us Speak podcast. My name is Cecil Williams. I am your host with my good friends Abraham. Osahan is here. I think probably his dog's going to be here in a minute kicking it with us. Who knows? But thank you guys so much for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube right now, we salute you. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we salute you as well. And like I was actually saying, like I said, this is quote unquote kind of like our 1 year anniversary kind of episode, if you will. We started, for those who don't know, we started on September 3rd, 2019. And we have fought through many waves and storms and babies. I have a son now. Also, you about to be a daddy. You about to get the daddy strength. Daddy strength is coming strong.
Daddy.
Yes.
Daddy.
And we've transitioned in a good way, and people have done great things. We've also added people. Abraham has joined on, and he's here. He's been with us, rocking it. And I just want to take the time out to salute all of you who are growing with us. Those who, if this is your first time ever listening to us, we salute you. We thank you. This podcast is grounded in just being ourselves, being honest as we possibly can, to bring stuff that's relevant to you, but at the same time being different. And so we salute you. We thank you. We appreciate it. We're so grateful for the support and the compliments and the shares and the listeners and all of it. You name it. We say thank you. So it is officially 1 year in the podcast game. Gentlemen, how are you guys feeling? How has your week been? How is life?
My Celtics are playing well, so I'm happy.
This is true. I'll give them they just do. They are playing well.
But otherwise, of course, a bit of sadness given the recent string of losses last week. But, it really puts life into perspective, telling you, like, hey, at the end of the day, life won't stop, but we got to be on top of it.
Yeah. We'll get into that later. Osan, how are you? What's up? How's progress with on the road to fatherhood? How are you feeling?
Man,
it's almost the fourth quarter.
One day at a time. I think we are in the fourth quarter. We are in the fourth final quarter. I'm trying to finish strong. It went very fast. I feel like we blinked and all of a sudden I'm about to be a whole dad and y'all might hear a baby crying in the background of one of these episodes.
Right.
But it is what it is. But other than that, like I echo what Abe said. String of losses this past week. I'll get into my thoughts on that later. But man, I think I'm hopeful for this world. As saddening and upsetting as things are and can be at times, I'm still hopeful. So
yeah. It's still crazy stuff is happening. Still, coping, and then as you're coping, there's like another thing that happens, and so it's definitely a trying time. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I was telling somebody the other day, I would not be surprised if counselors and therapists they make bank in 2021, because I don't blame anybody who needs counseling or therapy this year or even after this year, going through all this stuff. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So I really hope that we are taking care of our mental. Being with all of this stuff is no joke. I don't care if a celebrity dies or You see obviously another unarmed black man being, even whether it's being murdered or being trying to be murdered by police is still a lot, especially with certain laws, all the changes. It's a lot to take in all at once. And so I really, really, really hope that people are slowing down as much as they can, and really, really taking care of their mental capacity and the mental health. With that being said, it's actually been, I think, a week since we've been around a little bit. But during that time, of course, as everybody knows, it's in the news. Jacob Blake, another unarmed black man who has not died, but nonetheless was harmed for no reason. The video shows him, going around the car, going to the passenger seat. I'm sorry, not the passenger seat, the driver's seat, to open the car door. Of course, people who were there saying he was breaking up an argument, walked onto the car to the driver's seat to get who knows what. That part really doesn't matter to me. And police literally was walking with him to the car with their guns drawn, and they didn't open fire until he opened the car door to shoot him 7 times in the back. He was rushed to the hospital, and the doctor said, of course, he was paralyzed from the waist down. The sickening part about it was the dad said that he was handcuffed on the hospital bed, which I don't have any words to describe that. It's very, very sickening. It's very, very hurtful. I mean, just to see this happen over and over and over again. And I was in a meeting with a group of people the other day, and I told them, my frustration it's not necessarily frustration. It's just you get drained. And when you're in spaces that you have to kind of entertain these conversations or be in rooms or with people who probably don't think the same or whatever, the biggest thing that's draining is, the question of how can something that's logically right to do when it comes to racism and systematic racism and things that obviously hold black people down, some stuff that is logically right, logically makes sense, why is that so hard to accept? Why are these things so hard, like they're defending against this stuff so hard? And it's like, it baffles me. It amazes me how much people put up a fight for racism, for certain systems and structures and legislations to still be in place. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on it, just because it's just draining. It's really draining. It's frustrating. But I know Osan and you, Abe, I know you had something to say about it.
No, I don't. It's just plain and simple. What was done was an evil act. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. People want to keep arguing against it. So be it. We're going to keep protesting. We're going to keep fighting.
Yeah.
I think one thing that remains to that I think needs to be reiterated, because people just want to take messages and spin them out of control. Because of course, whenever something like this happens, the first thing that people automatically do on one side of the fence is, well, what did he do to put himself in that position? And I even heard about a guy, I'm not even gonna acknowledge his name, but he's Twitter famous, and he goes around literally from city to city when things like this happens. He goes to the city where the incident occurs and tries to find out the criminal records of these individuals so that he could spread whatever half truths about an individual's character.
Oh yeah, I seen that stuff. Oh yeah, duh, I was the one that messaged. Yeah, I seen it. And I'm like, yo, this dude's ignorant for this.
Yeah, but
I didn't even know he was doing that.
Yeah,
and I didn't even really post his stuff. I don't post his stuff like that. And because something in me was like, okay, you know, you're advocating for this, but you're just everywhere, and it seems like you're everywhere, and it just doesn't feel right that you're everywhere. It's different if somebody is everywhere, and that you can tell you can tell who's being genuine in it. But with this, it's like, man, you are with Breonna Taylor, you're there. With Jacob, you're there. With George Floyd, you're there. Like, you're just everywhere. And so finally, when I seen that tweet, in the proof, it's not like this is, you know, sources or gossip, but when you see the proof and you see what he was doing, it's like, come on, dude. Like,
chill. Yeah, like,
that's
come on.
enough.
If this is your purpose in life,
yeah,
you got to do better. Do better tomorrow, said LeBron, Raymond James.
Right. Yeah.
I think what the message people need to remember is that we are not out here making or crying out just to cry out, or trying to stir stuff up just to stir stuff up. Fact remains, there's a lack of equality in treatment. There is a system in this country since day one. This country's been set up, and as much as people would like to feel and scream that no, like the American dream is achievable for everybody, and whose dream is that? I didn't sign off and say that was my dream.
I didn't vote for this.
I never said that was my dream. That's a nightmare to me. And to look at the ideals, and honestly, I'd say the average American really doesn't have an idea about the ideals and the virtues and the principles that the founding fathers espoused, whether it was in the preamble or Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. They don't know. But people assume, a lot of people assume that, oh no, we've attained to those highest ideals. Take, for example, the Pledge of Allegiance, the final words of the Pledge of Allegiance, with liberty and justice for all.
There's an asterisk next to all.
Big asterisk for all, okay? To ensure, preamble to the Constitution, to establish justice and ensure domestic tranquility. Big asterisk next to that. Big asterisk, okay? There's a lot of asterisks to be applied. Does that mean that this country is necessarily bad? No, but I think we need to come to the table and have a conversation and realize these things that are laid out as the vision for our country, since, vision is an important thing. We are not even aiming at that bullseye. The bullseye, the target has been moved to benefit a certain segment. And so until we move the bullseye back to its original value for what the framers put it to be, and we are aiming at that, making sure that everyone's hand, here's the other thing, that everyone's hand is on that bow, pulling back and ready to release that arrow to hit the mark together. Until then, you're going to continue to see protesting in the streets. You're going to continue to hear the cries. Sad to say, you're going to see some rioting. But until there is equality, you're going to continue to see strife. And don't throw out that, oh, you guys are dividing us by. We're already divided.
We're already here.
Pointing out the division, bring more division. It doesn't work like that.
We're already here. Like it's one of those things where it's like there are people that are literally saying, like, let's go back to how America was built, like you said, and how it was founded, and back to its the right way. And I'm like, well, what is really the right way at this point? Like, what is, based on what the Constitution stands for and how it was built, how it was not built but written, the things that have been passed, what really is the right way? And when you get stuff like this and you see the protests, you see everything that's going on, you have to put everything into question, rightfully, in its proper place, and evaluate what is the right way when it comes to living and treating people right, when it comes to just the American Constitution and all this stuff. I had somebody on Facebook write a post, and he was black too, and he made the comment that, in reference to Jacob Blake, he was trying to say that he could, like, and we've talked about this in prior episodes, making the comment that, hey, Jacob, he was walking to the car, but he could have stopped, and he could have done this, he could have done that. he could have not went to the car. Whatever the police was asking him, he could have just stood there or got to the ground or something. And it really bothers me personally that people still try to find a way to justify unnecessary harm to a human being. Like it's you can't justify that at all. And if you can't say Jacob, him walking to the car and you're saying, hey, he could have stopped. The truth of the matter is, hey, the police didn't have to draw their weapons. They have tasers. They have, the ability to take somebody down. This is common sense stuff that they learn in training. So the fact that you have your guns drawn and you pointed at him for that long and you wait until his back was turned to shoot him in the back as he was getting to the car, just for you to probably say when you stand in investigation that, oh, he's reaching for a gun when he got in the car. Well, you could have tackled him to the ground before he got there. Like, you let him walk to the car.
I love how the narrative keeps switching. It went from he had a knife, there's a blurry image showing he had a knife, to, oh no, he was going to get a gun, but I thought he had a knife, but apparently he's going to get a gun. And it's just like, y'all don't even know what y'all trying to say.
Yeah, before you get to the car, like, come on, people. Like, before a man gets to the car or get to that certain place or whatever, and this isn't the first time where a black unarmed man has gotten to a certain place and then the police attacked or then the police murdered. There's been multiple incidents before. So this is not the first time where we're seeing something like this. So that's why this is more of a question of, it's literally being black. And I heard somebody say this a couple of days ago. Like, people say we're unarmed, but that's not the case. Like, being black is being armed at this point. Like, being black is the weapon, is the threat. And for some people, that is all they need to feel like they have to harm people that look like me or you. And just even recently, the other day, this yesterday because of the recording, but the other day, somebody, a close person that I know, posted, and their sister, I guess, was going on a jog, Manhattan Beach, and this lady started harassing her and called the police and made up a report because of the color of her skin.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that video. That was wild. Like, absolutely wild.
It makes no human sense. And this is something that this is why, if for the listeners out there, and they just, I'm sorry, but if you just have no clue what's going on, then you're definitely under a rock. But if you don't know what we're talking about and stuff like that, take a look around you. Like, this is why black people and people of color, and even people that don't look like us, that are on our side when it comes to ending certain things and changing stuff. This is why we're frustrated. This is why we're emotionally drained. This is why you have some that are depressed, because going outside at this point in 2020, going outside, looking the way you look in the terms of being black is a threat in itself. That is the honest, the truth right now that we're talking about. And to see stuff like this happen, to see the murders, to see just people making up police reports, for God's sake, just because you're taking a jog on the beach, it's traumatic. That stuff is traumatic. And this is why I urge people, like, if you gotta go get counseling or go see or talk to somebody, do your thing, because this stuff here is, if you don't be proactive and not just proactive, when it comes to protest, but be proactive in your sanity, be proactive in speaking up, being proactive and being honest of how you feel, this type of stuff will affect you greatly. So this is a pivotal time when it comes to yourself, your sanity, your health, the stuff that you see, and just being able to communicate what's going on. So I definitely, our prayers is with Jacob and that family. I pray that this paralyzation is not even permanent. I pray this just because it's temporary. He's able to still walk and share his testimony and share, the truth and what happened. And shout out to those who are still fighting. Shout out to his family and his dad that's speaking up. And I really, really hope, I really pray that this is the last of these type of just unnecessary stuff of 2020. I know we're in September, but I really pray that this is like the last of these type of incidents. There was somebody else.
By the way, hold on before
Yeah,
you
go
move
ahead. Go
on
ahead.
to that. Jacob Blake did have to have, I think, part of his small intestine and part of his colon removed due to the gunshot wounds. So,
Got it.
yep,
Okay.
that's the permanent damage for sure.
So that's the latest update. Again, this is, just to put it in perspective, this is a father who living his life, not bothered, probably was just doing his thing, whatever, to go from being healthy, standing, raising kids, and also the kids was in the car. And I know we said it before, but again, the kids was in the car witnessing this. To go from that to now having all these procedures, to dealing all this stuff, to I'm assuming, rightfully assuming, like, to see your kids kind of have to process this stuff too. That is a lot. That's a lot of layers. And again, prayers to him, his family, and the kids. Um, Aside from that, and not really, it's still kind of related, but aside from that, Breonna Taylor, the cops are still out there, still loose, having a good old time. They're not arrested. The latest update on that case was they offered a bargain, a deal with the ex, Breonna's ex, telling him pretty much to admit that she was part of a drug scheme. If you admit that, then you go on probation. If not, you get 10 years. And the ex took the 10 years because, of course, I'm not about to lie to you about a woman who has nothing to do with anything, and you're trying to get her involved so you can escape, so you can be the scapegoat and not be convicted of anything. It just, again, this is just, and we say this stuff because we want to inform you, to keep you up to date on what's going on in reality. But we don't say this to, for cheer or anything like that. This is to inform you, but at the same time, nonetheless, this is real. This is what's happening. This is what the evil that's in our world. You have whole police force that is willing to protect these three men, and not just say, hey, you know what, these men are evil. They killed this woman in her sleep. We need to take them in. But instead, they're trying to protect these people, make her in this light of, she's part of a drug scheme, which makes no sense. If I'm asleep, how am I part of a drug scheme? It is sad, but that is the latest on that. In other news, still sad. But
Excuse me.
bless you. Still sad, but I think there's a resolve, a peaceful resolve. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. He was, he, for those who don't know, and there are people, for those who are listening or watching, there are people who don't know who he is, haven't watched a Chadwick movie. Chadwick Boseman was an actor, a black actor, and I'll say that he is a person that he got more notoriety as he got older, with the movies that he played in, portrayed James Brown in his movie, portrayed Jackie Robinson in his movie 21 Bridges, Black Panther, and of course all the couple of Avengers movies that also included him in it. Chadwick Boseman was a brilliant person, a brilliant mind, a brilliant actor. He was a person that was very, very true to himself. Every time you see him in an interview, every time you see him talk, very eloquent, very intelligent, very smart, and was rooted in purpose. I mean, he was all about purpose, all about, living out your purpose, living out your dream. And he died this past Friday, I believe, and his family was by his side. And he died of actually colon cancer. And a lot of people did not know that. Um, and he obviously kept that under wraps. He didn't want that to be in the open, for that to be affect his work or anything like that. Which shows you, and this is a lesson in itself that make sure whoever your friend circle is, man, make sure it's tight, because I'm sure whoever his circle was, kept that really tight under wraps. And to those, and I've heard this before over this past weekend, like people say, "Oh, it was a secret" and stuff like that. No, just because you don't know doesn't mean it's a secret. Just because you just found out does not mean it's a secret. He just told people that he trusts, and he went about his way. He still had purpose to do. In his mind, it was probably, hey, I still got things I'm called to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let cancer stop me. And I'll say this, he was probably on the tier of a Kobe as far as greatness, work ethic, just the impact that he made. That is what we felt when we got the news, was eerily similar to Kobe. The only difference probably is at least we found out from his family and not stupid TMZ. Which that brings a little more peace to this situation, but nonetheless, he was a dynamic person, and he was, I would say, like our real life superhero for us, for Black people. It was like he was it, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't really have that in a really long time. So when Black Panther came out and you see him, even in real life, you just saw him do what he do. He was just like a real life superhero. So and I know you guys have something to say about that, but I'll say that this man means a lot to the African American community. I can only imagine what people like Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan and Issa Rae and just all these people that do know him, are going through. I hate and I don't want to hear, when people say, he's a celebrity. What does it matter to XYZ? If you take celebrity out of it, he's still a human being, number one. And when you look at not just the body of work, but how he impacted people and how he talked to people and how he portrayed himself when it comes to just being a person that I'm gonna do whatever it is, or I'm gonna just be that guy no matter what is going on. And now that we know that it was cancer, it really puts in perspective. It don't matter what he had going on, whether it's doctor appointments, whether it's treatments, whether it's medicine, whether it's whatever. Because colon cancer is no joke. Like I've had family members that have had that. So it's not like nothing to play with. It's not no light little thing that goes away. So the fact that he was still, call times, shoots, interviews, award shows, meeting people, fans, all this stuff with cancer, colon cancer, that is tremendous. That is beyond words of what he was able to do with this. So I look at this and I say, you know what? As much as I am saddened, as much as I actually really am hurt that this man, again, for me, is almost the same level of emotion as Kobe. He still left such a mark when it comes to doing stuff no matter what and providing excellence in everything that you do. So I say salute to him on that, and rest in peace, and my prayer and condolences to the family as well. You
I
got
would say for me, yeah, my bad. I was like, wait, why is my sound not coming out? I think one thing that Chadwick Boseman's passing, I think, is exposing is how our microwave and social media connected, viral, trend loving society doesn't know how to slow down and grieve. Within maybe a day of his passing, I'm already people talking about, man, who's gonna play him in the sequel? Man, who should they have replace him? Who should they have? Man, like and people throwing out theories, and I'm like, hey, can y'all just sit in the fact that this man passed? Like that this man is gone. You're not gonna, here's the thing, you're not gonna get a chance to grieve him again. Oh, I feel like shouting. You like you only get the opportunity in the now to really grieve, and you don't want to move on down the line. Here's what grief does. Grief allows us not just to feel the loss, but to celebrate what we had in that person. And so with his passing, we were witness to, think about it, Black Panther, the, you know, for most people, most in the Black community, the first Black superhero that they ever saw.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson did a phenomenal job in that film. James Brown, Thurgood Marshall.
Yes, I forgot about that movie.
He's played some historical heavyweights. And then you throw in the Marvel films as well. So he did 7 films, including the Five Bloods is 121 Bridges. He did 7 films while he was sick with cancer.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And mind you, I think Thurgood Marshall might have been the lowest grossing of all the films, but the rest of those films, pretty top dollar films. So he put in this full effort into what he did. Like you said, Cecil, believing in being dialed into purpose and his purpose. Now that he's gone, let's appreciate what we had. Let's grieve that he's gone. Let's lament. And the problem is, going back to what you mentioned about mental health in the previous discussion, because we don't know how to grieve well and how to lament loss well, we end up dealing with more mental health issues than we do, and than we probably should, honestly. Think about your body. When your body is hurt and something breaks, what do? You slow down and you take time to let it heal. You don't just run around on a broken leg. You don't just run around, or at least you shouldn't run around on a bum or sprained ankle, right? Yeah. You do that, but the same thing applies for our mental health and our emotions. So if your mental health or your emotions are feeling strained because of loss, there's been a like we've talked about, a string of loss over this past week. I mean, just as that from a culture and a sports perspective, we lose Lute Olson, former coach of University of Arizona basketball, Hall of Famer, Chadwick Boseman, Johnson. They say it comes in threes.
Clifford Robinson too.
Clifford Robinson, former NBA six-man and all-star.
Yeah,
those 4 in the span of I think it's 3 days that those 4 passed. It's easy just to sit back and say, oh, well, it's 2020. And I think that's what a lot of people are using to cover the feeling in this moment. Well, here goes 2020 again, just taking stuff away. But have you really felt the loss? Have you felt the sting?
Thompson and Clifford was actually like within hours too.
Yeah.
Within hours.
Just came out. Like, have you felt that sting? For myself, was it prior week, we were celebrating, Mamba Week, essentially.
Yeah.
And for myself, it kind of uncovered because I haven't finished, I think, grieving the loss of Kobe. It's going to take a while. I'll be honest. It's going to take a while. And I think the thing that hit me hard in that was reading Allen Iverson's letter that he wrote to Kobe. And so I read that letter and I was like, dog. And then John Thompson, essentially the man who, like Allen Iverson said in his Hall of Fame speech, the man who saved Allen Iverson's life passes too. Like that's a difficult weight to carry and a difficult grief to feel and loss to feel. So I set out to say this, folks, grieve well. Don't rush through this. Sit in this, feel this, because if you cannot grieve well now, the repercussions later is not going to be worthwhile.
Yeah. And it's possible to grieve well. Like people really take grieving as something that's like it's horrible, but the truth of the matter, like there's a time, like it says in the Bible, it says there's a time to grieve, there's a time to cry, there's a time. This is that time. And when you don't, like Ozan said, when you don't, that will turn into so much trauma and depression and will have you going crazy because you think everything is fine, but you have so much layers and layers and layers of past incidents and thoughts and stuff that you have seen that is buried, and it will come up whether you like it or not. And like Osan said, please just grieve well. And I think one of the biggest lessons, even with learning about Chadwick's death, is you gotta be kind. You don't know what people are going through. Um, you don't know, and I've seen people post about this, but I really hope that we mean it. Just be kind. Be kind when when there's an opportunity to say thank you, an opportunity to appreciate somebody, an opportunity to say, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing or who you are, whatever the case may be, for whatever reason. Take that time to do it. Because like I said, you know, Chadwick was going through this, I'm sure, with his trusted circle. And, you know, just because, like I said, we don't know doesn't mean he was secretive. It's just we have to learn how to show appreciation, how to really honor people, and just be kind. Because you don't know the time of the hour, you don't know what could happen tomorrow, the next hour, whatever. Whether that means you telling somebody you love them, giving somebody a hug, um, appreciating what they do, showing thanks, saying thank you, acknowledging them, asking a person, "Hey, how are you?" A person that probably don't get it a lot, ask that person, "Hey, how are you?" or "What's going on with you?" or something. Those things are important. Those things mean a lot more than ever this year, and this is um, this is rough for not just people in just in general, but just black people too. Like we've been through a lot this year between Kobe, Chadwick, Nip died. When did Nip die? Was it last? It was last year, right?
2019. Yeah, 2019.
But it
April
was
2019.
April. Wow,
Mhm.
wow, it still feels like it was just happened. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, just so between those three, the way it happened, and just the timetable of it, um, you know, people out here in Southern California ain't they're going through a lot. They're going through a lot for sure. But I hope that the resolve and the peace that we find in this is doing things in excellence and not taking anything for granted, and love people. Please, please, please take time to love people. If you say you don't love people, I'll be honest. If you say you don't love people, that means you're not Christian, because being Christian means you have to love people, like regardless. To show appreciation and to walk like Jesus. This is a perfect opportunity to love on people. So prayers and condolences to the Boseman family. And yeah, Black Panther will live on. I will watch that movie over and over again. I will watch Thurgood. I actually only watched that movie once, but I would definitely watch it again. Um, so in lighter news, we had a big celebration that happened with, I thought it was I mean, one of the best battles, but man, you talk about two aunties at Thanksgiving dinner. Like, it was tremendously petty. This past weekend, no week. Brandy, two legends, Brandy and Monica. They went head to head in Atlanta at Tyler Perry Studios. Tyler Perry said, "Hey, I'll give you the studio, whatever you want." They got the studio, went down.
He made a deal while we're shooting
You said,
versus
what'd you
fit
say?
in the time it took. He made a Medea battle in the time it took. I'm sorry, Medea movie in the time it took to make that battle.
Low key, because I
Whole
was like
film.
3 hours. The battle was about at
Whole
least
film.
3 hours. Uh, you know, and then there was like little side debates, like, you know, what does Monica have on? Are they boots? Are they pants? I thought it was boots, to be honest with you. But that battle was it was good. It was a good battle, but just the underlaying of shade and pettiness that was thrown amongst each other was it was tense. It was tense. I mean, Brandy, I think we can say Brandy won that easily. Everybody knew that Brandy was kind of going to win, just because. And I think Monica played songs. She played her jams, but I think she didn't play them in the right order that could combat certain songs that Brandy had. So I just, yeah, I think that was a dud on her part. But overall, great battle. I saw it in its entirety. It was like I said, it felt like I was like at a family reunion, and you got these two aunties that just they only like each other just because they're there. They just they just want to show appreciation right then and there. But best believe they talking about each other when they leave, when they get in the car. Did you guys see it? I don't know if you guys saw it or not.
I caught the highlights afterwards because I wasn't really too interested. They're both talented artists and they both influenced my childhood, especially Brandy with Moesha and whatnot. I love her. But it's funny because I watched the highlights and I saw originally everybody was talking about, hey, uh, there's a lot of shade being thrown and whatnot. And then today I'm on social media and I'm hearing the complete opposite, where people are like, no, it wasn't shade. It's just Brandy's just like that awkward black girl, you know? She's the persona of that stereotype. You know, she's just so excited, so she just doesn't know how to handle herself. And so therefore some of her comments come off a certain way. It is interesting though that people automatically jump to shade and now people are backtracking. I didn't really think there was any shade unless there's some underlying issues that history between the two that I'm not aware of. I don't really pay much attention to drama like that. But I enjoyed it. It was a close battle. It was good. It looked fun. It looked engaging. I think they said 1.2 million people logged in.
Yeah.
So definitely a good versus. They keep doing well. I'm interested to see what they go up with next. I've seen jokes. Shout out to Miracle. She a friend Miracle. She made a post saying the versus battle we need to see based off our childhood is Big Bird versus Barney, and I can't look at a versus battle the same way anymore.
We need that. Bet we definitely need that.
I know one thing.
Oscar the hype man.
I got Big Bird in a resounding victory if that's the case. It just Sesame Street runs the streets. You know they got it.
Yeah, well, there is kind of a history. I mean, Monica did slap her on one occasion, and there's been some, some verbal stuff that in the past, but apparently they settled it. So I guess they're good. But Monica, to me, it just very, and I think because Brandy is that awkward girl that she can say whatever. I think it just catches Monica off guard because she's like the laid back, but will pop off if you just get on her bad side type chick. So, overall good battle. Brandy won to me. They kept naming people. Who?
What did you score? What score did you give Brandy?
Let me see. It wasn't. You said what?
Don't you say 55? You thrown out
numbers. No. It wasn't close, but it was a healthy win. I'd say, like 13, 7. 13-7. I think that was what I had that score. Again, it wasn't. I didn't expect it to be close. I mean, Brandy's just, the mic wasn't even near her mouth and she was singing. It just was clear, like her notes and chords was clear when she was just playing around. Like it's ridiculous that her voice is that great. But what I did see was people keep disrespecting Usher, trying to put him up with JT, and I'm like, please stop doing this. Like, why do they keep doing this? It was Usher.
That's the same you feel about Juicy J and Nas, huh?
Hey, that's Abe. He's on the Juicy J train. I'm not. I'm saying don't disrespect Nas, but that Usher thing, and there was another one. Somebody put 112 versus, I can't think of the other person. 112 and Boys to Men. That's what somebody said. I'm like, that mix, but
Give us Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC, NSYNC, so we can settle this debate once and for all.
And,
like, I'm tired of.
Do you think that's close?
98 degrees.
Backstreet Boys wins. NSYNC is just JT.
Facts. It's JT and company. That's all NSYNC was JT and friends.
Like, it's Backstreet Boys all the way. I'm a Backstreet Boys stan. That's what it is.
I'm with you on this.
I don't know. I don't know. That's tough.
I'm genuinely with you on this one, Abe. I've been saying this for years.
I got introduced to NSYNC first before Backstreet. So when I heard of Backstreet, immediately I was like, oh, they're just a copy and paste from NSYNC when I first heard them. So that's probably why I'll lean towards NSYNC because of who I heard first. But yeah, I don't know. I never took Backstreet Boys seriously. I don't know. I just never took them seriously. I hope everybody has a amazing weekend. Whatever you do, please stay safe. Be smart. Be grateful for everything. And just make a change, make an impact on wherever you are, whether it's your family, your community, your city. You have a voice. You have, 2 hands, 2 feet like everybody else. Commit to doing something to changing a life or putting a smile on somebody's face. Times is crazy. We understand, but we're in a new month. And as things kind of transform before our eyes and things change, laws change, we encourage you to still be that voice and be that person that somebody is looking for. As there's some news, of course, of a law being passed that to us, very sick, very evil. So it's important that, if you have kids, if you have minors that's living with you, keep them safe, keep them out of harm's way. Go through different protocols, whether it's, a curfew or calling, your parents, or if you are parents, make sure you, tell your kids, give us a phone call where you're at or something like that. Because like I said, we do live in a sick world, and because we do, it's our job, it's our responsibility to be light, to be voices of what God wants us to be, and to be that person to stand in the gap or just to lead the charge or whatever the case may be, whatever it is that God has called you, me, us to do. Please go about that and do it the right way. But please, if you have kids, it's important that you read up on the laws. I won't spend too much time on going over that law, but read, I believe it's Senate Bill 145. Senate Bill 145. Please go read that on your own time. It is very important that you read that, very vital that you read that. And if you don't find any disgust in it, I will say this now, something might be a little wrong with you. I'll just throw that out there. But with that being said, my name is Cecil. I'm your host with our good buddies Abraham and Osahan. We'll catch you next time. This is episode 31. Remember, if you rest in God, you can defeat all the odds. And I mean that sincerely with everything going on. If you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you so much. If you're listening right now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. Go tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a hater. And in the meantime, we'll see you next time. We're signing out. Peace.
You win some, you lose some. But you live to fight another day.